What is happening, baby? Welcome back to the Huddle Chat Sports Show, presented by the Huddle Chat Sports Network, and as always, yours truly, Dallas Clark, also known as Indo is my Nindo. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to this week's installment of THC Sports. Today, we're going to be continuing our coverage of all 32 teams and their NFL drafts, wrapping up the NFC North. We've already discussed the Bears, Lions, and Vikings, one of which I think may take the Green Bay Packers helm as King of the North way quicker than you think. So make sure you check out those videos. But today, we're talking about the Green Bay Packers going to one of the most historic, if not the most historic NFL franchise in the 32 teams. And we're going to be talking about their 2023 NFL draft and how good of a draft it may be. The Green Bay Packers fans, y'all may know, drafting has been a struggle for you as of late. And I won't talk about he who shall not be named. We won't even do that to y'all here on the Huddle Chat Sports Show Network because we care about y'all feelings. So we're going to move on past the big storyline, the one that everybody knows about. We know Jordan Love. We're in love with him. There was a reason that Jordan Love got picked a few years back. Instead of getting the wide receiver that he who shall not be named was asking for and getting the help that they needed back in the day, they got Jordan Love, and there's a reason for that. And you've heard a lot of good things from Packers players about how good Jordan Love. Now, how good was the draft? Was it a continuation of Packer draft past, which is a bunch of Packer draft ass? I've been hating it the last few years for you Packers fans, and I'm sure you have as well. Let me know in the comments if you've been happy with really any of y'all picks over the last few years, your primary picks. I know there's been a few hits on the nail, but for the most part, Packer drafts have not gone well, especially under the tutelage of Brian Gutekunst. So before we move on into all that, I want to thank y'all so much again for tuning in, and make sure to ask you if you like the content to smash that like button. You do not understand how much that helps me out. Beyond that, I want to make sure you check down at the bottom of the screen and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. If not, make sure you're subscribed. Once we hit 100 subscribers, we're going to be doing massive giveaways here, but we're going to talk about that later. I want to get into this Packers draft class. So make sure you like it, make sure you subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you know if we're talking about your favorite team, or when we move on to the fan favorite fantasy football huddle, you can know what information is coming out and how to gain that advantage over those other idiots in your fantasy football league, and we can hoist that trophy come Super Bowl time and not have the only champions be on our TV. Now, before we go on into the Packers draft, of course, as always, it's time to extend y'all the invite that if you do not partake, there's no peer pressure if you don't. I ain't mad at you. Let's go ahead, roll right on into that jamming ass song that we all know also well. But if you do partake, now is the time to smoke them if you got them. So fill up your cup, roll something up, and let's get right into the news. Before we get into today's video and all of the juice that was in this draft class, I want to send out an apology to y'all. I know the videos have not been coming out as consistent as I would like it. Right now, we're in the middle of those dog days of summer, and I'm trying to take full advantage of it, doing my camping, all my fishing, all that good stuff. And as we get closer to these mini camps and wrap up these 32 NFL teams, if you don't know, now you know, we're only got about 8 teams left. We got one division AFC East and one division NFC East left to do after we wrap up this video. We've been taking care of all those things. Had a couple of sicknesses over the past week. my immune system was under siege. I cannot lie to y'all right now, but who cares about that? Like I said, I want to extend out an apology to y'all, and I hope that you're not too mad at me, but be confident knowing that the Huddle Chat Sports Show is going to be coming out with more and more content at a more and more consistent rate, especially in the lead up to your preparation for your fantasy football league. Now, moving back into the Green Bay Packers NFL draft of 2023, they had a pretty steady draft class. We're going to start off with the first pick that they had, which would be Lucas Van Ness, the edge rusher out of Iowa. He had a great combine performance, and it made up for his lack of experience, sort of like the new quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts, Anthony Richardson. The little bit of experience he had, plus the great combine performance and pro day, really boosted this man's draft stock and got him drafted by the Packers where he was drafted. He's got tremendous athleticism and very high upside. He won't really be a day one starter, but he will add some significant depth to this team, and honestly, with some knowledge and a few years, maybe just even 1 year of learning that playbook, learning that system, Van Ness is going to finesse his way into that starting lineup and may even be an anchor there for a few years. Lucas Van Ness was a solid pick by the Green Bay Packers. The next pick that we're going to be talking about for the Pack attack is going to be the tight end Luke Musgrove from Oregon State. He's got great size, sort of like Gronkowski back in the day, and creates a mismatch, whether he's on a linebacker or especially when he's lined up on a cornerback or safety. He's got that really unique blend of size and speed that you love in a tight end. He does lack a lot of experience, and the biggest question is he healthy? He did suffer a knee injury last year that we don't know if he's fully recovered from. We hope he's fully recovered from, and we do not know if that's going to be a lingering issue or something similar that he might go through for the next few years. He's a freak athlete. He really does remind me in the tight end position of a Darren Waller style player. If he can get over these early injury concerns, I think that Luke Musgrove may be a solid tight end that the Green Bay Packers have really been screaming for. They've had some really great Band-Aids over the last few years with the Richard Rodgers and all those very steady tight ends they've had in the last few years, but it's time for Packers fans to have at least a solid player, sort of like the Colts used to have back in the day with Dallas Clark. The next pick that we're going to be talking about for the Green Bay Packers is going to be Jaden Reed, the wide receiver, kick return specialist from Michigan State. He's more of a slot wide receiver than a deep threat, vertical threat wide receiver, and he's more quick than fast, which is unfortunate being a slot primary wide receiver when you think about the fact that a slot wide receiver mostly is going to be using his speed to his advantage. He has had some drop issues in the past, and he's not a huge vertical threat, as I've said before, and he does not really seem to create the space downfield that you'd like to see. He's going to be great in the Tom Brady style, the dink and dunk style, the safe for Jordan Love to go to style, but eventually is not going to be taking the top off the defense. I don't think this young man's going to grow into being a star, but he could become a consistent, steady wide receiver like a Brandon Stokely or a Wes Welker, somebody that may not be the flashiest player, but can be a staple for your team for years to come. Before we talk about the next few picks, I want to talk about a new staple that should be in your recently saved, in your recently viewed, a staple that's going to be in your closet is going to be anything you can get from Danklyfe clothing brand, our sponsor. Huge thanks out to Danklyfe brand. We've got a ton of gear and a ton of new logos, new looks from Danklyfe, and we can't thank them enough. Man, if I can be honest with y'all have to go check out the Danklyfe brand Facebook page. They're already back for this year in full swing, having brand new customized gear. If you're like myself and you're sick and tired of looking like the postman that comes to your house and doesn't even have season tickets to the NFL, meaning that you have the same gear as every Joe Blow fan of your team that's out there in the city, in the world. If you're tired of that same tired-ass gear, check out Danklyfe brand. They're going to get you hooked up and hooked up more beautifully. You're going to be loving the way you look, and you're going to get it made exactly the way you want it with that customized gear, and it's always going to be extremely high quality. We love Danklyfe brand here. We've got tons of things we're going to be giving away from Danklyfe brand, starting with all the tumblers that we got for each sport. You see we got the Steelers, the Tampa Bay Rays, the Lakers, the Kobe Bryant. We have all three sports of the major sports, and we're going to be getting even more gear. We have a lot more that I don't even want to bust out and show you. We have that customized Huddle Chat Sports gear and customized gear for your favorite team and your favorite sports show. So make sure, if you haven't yet, you subscribe to the channel, because once we hit 100 subscribers, we're going to be doing massive giveaways here on the Huddle Chat Sports Show. If you're a subscriber now between 0 and 100 over here on this new channel that you're watching this video on right now, you're going to be getting 2 times entries into all the giveaways that we're going to be doing very shortly when we hit 100 subscribers. I think last I checked, we were just short of 80. So if we can make a big push and get 100 on the new channel, we'll be doing that giveaway right before the football season, which will be a perfect time to get you some customized gear. So make sure that you check and also get subscribed to the channel if you haven't. And if you love the content, make sure you drop a like, because you do not understand how much that helps me out. Now, moving on to the rest of the Green Bay Packers 2023 NFL Draft, we're going to be talking about yet another tight end, which will be Tucker Kraft from South Dakota State. He missed a lot of time throughout his collegiate career with an ankle injury. He's a big, physical wide receiver and can dominate his opponents with his size. He's not always been consistent and has had some drop issues. He's not super competitive in 50-50 balls. He's a solid backup, but essentially doesn't move the needle very much. I'm not 100% loving this pick that the Green Bay Packers made in Tucker Kraft, but he's going to potentially be able to change my opinion throughout the preseason and hopefully his long NFL career. The last few picks we're going to talk about for the Green Bay Packers, we're going to be moving on to the defensive side of the ball and talk about Colby Wooden, the defensive lineman from Auburn. He's an anchor inside as an interior defensive lineman, and he was the unquestioned leader by everybody on that Auburn roster, not just the defense, but the roster as a whole. One of his biggest problems and one of the reasons he fell so far in the draft is he plays very stiff. He's not as loose as you'd like, and he doesn't use his athleticism to his advantage. He has a lot of potential, but has not lived up to it quite yet. He's really talented, can become a star, but will definitely need at least 2 years to grow into the potential that he may never reach. Hopefully, Colby Wooden can grow into the potential that he's shown throughout his collegiate career at Auburn, and hopefully the NFL game isn't too fast for him, but he's definitely going to need a little bit of time to grow into that star role that may be there for him. The last pick we're going to be talking about for the Green Bay Packers is going to be Dontavion Wicks, wide receiver out of the University of Virginia. He runs his routes a little bit loose. That's been one of the biggest knocks on him and why he fell so far in the draft. He has shown some quickness, but really does lack that top-end speed to really take the top off of a defense. His problem is that he's struggled with drops, and the majority of his drops have been his own fault. They've been concentration issues. If you can work on this young man and tighten up a lot of these big errors that show in his game that show why he fell so far in the draft, he may be able to grow to a decent piece on this defense. But right now, this was a hope and a prayer that the Green Bay Packers took. I know this video sounded a little down, and to be honest with you, I hate that for you Green Bay Packers fans. This is, to be honest with you, probably one of my least favorite drafts. It's got to be my least favorite draft that I've covered out of all 32 NFL teams. I have to say the Green Bay Packers is probably my least favorite draft. There's not a ton of splash in here. Their early picks, their premier picks, don't move the needle that much. I'd say at least half of this draft don't even become starters, at least for their first few years. The Green Bay Packers draft is exactly what I expected from the Green Bay Packers draft. I hate to say it to you Green Bay Packers fans, and I hate to sound like a hater, But the Green Bay Packers, unfortunately, are going to be getting the worst draft grade that I've given to any team so far in the coverage, and I will be giving out to any team so far in the coverage. Green Bay Packers get a nice, solid D+ in this year's draft class, 2023. But with better news, we got the last two divisions coming around the corner for you, and they had some heat in their draft classes. So if you want to make sure you check out the AFC East, NFC East, make sure you check out the rest of the Huddle Chat Sports Show's 32 NFL teams drafts for 2023. Then we're going to be talking about the offseason and then moving on into the preseason and regular season, preparing for your fantasy football draft. I cannot wait to bring you this year's FFH. And y'all need to make sure you're tuned in. So if you made it this far without liking the content, what are you doing? Please hit the comments. Let me know what I did wrong, why you don't like my video, and what I got to do to just take 1.5 seconds, not even that long, 0.2 seconds to just hit a thumb. It's taking me longer to ask you to thumb it up. I've asked 5 times in the video. If you could just drop a thumb, it'd be so greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. And I'm going to get up out of here. So make sure you keep your chin up and your attitude down. I'll see y'all next time. It's D-Town. Indo is one Indo. Also Dallas Clark. I'm out of here. Peace out, baby.